Hey, Robin, I think we're good. We're ready when you are.
All right. Can you hear me?
Wait, Cindy, there's one more person in the waiting room, it looks like.
Who's the telephone number, the 858, just by the way?
That's Diane.
Okay.
Yeah, just me. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I just wanted to know who was on.
Yep.
Is everybody in?
Yes, I think we are good.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces. And I think we'll get to that a little bit later, but I'd like to call to order, please, the Citizens Oversight Committee for the Prop AA, San Diego Union High School District. I'd like to call that to order. With that being said, I would like for Cindy, please, to read the protocol.
Welcome to the April 20th, 2021 meeting of the Independent Citizens Oversight Committee. This meeting is being held in accordance with State of California Executive Orders N-25-20 and N-33-20 and Public Health Officer Regulations updated on December 10th, 2020. This meeting is being conducted virtually. Tina Douglas, Associate Superintendent of Business Services, and Facilities Planning and Construction staff John Adelman, Mike Coy, and Dan Young are attending the meeting remotely. ICOC President Robin Duveen will be leading the meeting remotely with other committee members participating remotely. Public comment protocol was included on the agenda, and the public has been given the opportunity to submit their request to address the committee prior to the start of the meeting. Public comments received will be read aloud at the start of the meeting.
All right, thank you very much. With that being said, can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tina. So first of all, welcome everybody. As I mentioned earlier, it's nice to see some old faces and definitely some new ones, and we'll get to that a little bit later because I know that Tina will be introducing you. But I wanted to say welcome. I'm Robin Devine. I'm your current president of the Oversight Committee, and you will determine if you want me to continue to be the president going forward in the next half an hour or so. So we could go from there. But with that being said, I would like to please get a motion for the approval of the minutes, January 12, 2001, the regular meeting, and the March 16, 2021 special meeting. Can I get a motion, please, by somebody?
I move that we approve the minutes of, is it January 12th and March 16th?
That is correct. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. It's Gary, correct? It's
Yes.
Gary? Thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. Cindy, I'm going to hand it over to you again to do roll call. Just by the way, just to let some of the new members know, we don't typically do roll call, but because of the fact that we are doing this virtually, it's just one of the procedures that we have to follow. So as a result of that, you're probably going to hear that a few times tonight because there's a couple of votes that need to happen. So Cindy, roll call, please.
Mr. Aguirre,
Yes, I'm here.
Ms. Chow,
Yes, I'm here.
Mr. Chu,
Aye.
Mr. Dahan,
Here.
Mr. Duveen,
Present.
Ms. Flicker, Ms. Kefauver,
Present.
Ms. Comey,
Yeah.
Ms. McCauley.
Yes.
And
All
Senate,
right.
can I just ask for clarification, Robbie, because Robin, I'm sorry. I think maybe some people thought it was a roll call to check attendance, but it is a vote.
It's
So
a vote,
I'm
correct.
going to assume that those that said here or present meant yes, they approve, unless somebody tells us different. Lakshmi, you have a question?
The fact that I was not at those meetings, I would like to abstain.
Okay. You took the words out of my mouth. So Tina, so thank you. So Tina did explain that it's not roll call as in you attending. It's just to approve the vote. So with that being said, I believe that was approved, right? So we have approval of the January 12th and March 16, 2021 meetings, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Are there any public comments? Are we aware of anybody from the public that is in the meeting?
I received no public comments.
All right. With that being said, I will move on to the information items, and I will kick it over to Tina.
Awesome. So sorry we needed to get through that piece of it first before we got through this part of the agenda. So what I think we'd like to do, as Robin said, is just welcome all the new members. What I'll do is I'll just call on each of you, if you guys wouldn't mind just giving everybody a brief intro to yourselves. That would be great. And then once we do the new ICOC members, I'll call out our current, or our ones that have carried over, if you will, so that the new members can also get to know a little bit about some of the ones that are standing board members that have continued with their term. So Mr. Gary Aguirre, if you don't mind kind of giving us a brief intro to you, welcome.
Thank you. I'm a San Diego native. I have two daughters twins at CCA in the 9th grade. My background is I was at the SEC and I'm now a securities attorney.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your interest in wanting to serve on the committee with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kevin DeHaan, welcome again. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody. My name is Kevin DeHaan. I've got 3 children in the district, 1 junior and twins that are freshmen at LCC. I also have a 5th grader at El Camino Creek. I own a business consulting company here in Carlsbad, and I'm also the president of the Encinitas Education Foundation, which is essentially the fundraising arm of the Encinitas Union School District. We raise funds for their enrichment program.
And you received the hole in one there. Is that what you're trying to show us there?
That is true. Yeah, that was December 30th. And then my game's gone downhill in 2021. So
it's called golf. I understand.
Yeah, precisely.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Welcome.
Thank you.
So now Lakshmi Komi, did I pronounce it right?
You did. Thank
Awesome.
you. Glad to be here. I live in Carmel Valley area, and I have a daughter who is in middle school, 8th grader, and soon going to the CCA, and have 2 older sons who went to Torrey Pines. And my day job, I am the debt management director for the city of San Diego, and love my job, what I do. And also currently, as of January, I am one of the commission members on the State of California Debt and Investment Advisory Commission.
Awesome. Welcome. And then we have Lane Macy Kiefaber. Did I pronounce that right? And then one other question, because I don't remember from our interviews, is it just Lane or is it Lane Macy? If you wouldn't mind giving us an intro for you too.
Yes. Yeah, Lane, me, and my dog, of course, in the background is going right now. Lane Macy, the only reason I put that in there is that I actually am from San Diego. I went to Oak Crest. I went to San Diego. So I feel like I have some kind of history. So it's still important to me. But I go by Lane Kiefaber. And I lived in San Diego since I was 7, but moved away and have been back here for another 7 years. I have a 7th grader and a 1st grader. So I have a long time until she comes into school here, and excited to be here. Thank you for having me. My background is in helping small businesses, in particular nonprofit organizations and foundations. So I've worked in the space of philanthropy and human services in trying to launch new organizations and initiatives to solve community-based problems. I focus on the business side of the operations, fundraising, business development, creating sustainable business models. So I have a consulting practice and a nonprofit arm that we do some good in the community.
Thank you very much. Welcome. So those are our new members. Now I'm going to let the, I don't even know how to, continuing members, there you go, that's the word I'm looking for. Let the continuing members share a little bit about themselves so that the new members can get to know them a little bit more. So Diane, I'll start with you.
Sorry, I'm driving, so I apologize. I'm going to get to my destination in a minute, so if there's road noise, I apologize. I'm a physician. I'm a geriatrician, internal medicine physician, and I'm a parent of 2 boys. One is a golfer, for the golfer out there. He's on the Torrey Pines High School varsity golf team, and he's a junior, and I have a freshman who is at CCA. They've been in school here since elementary school, and I sit on 211 advisory board and the American Geriatric Society board of directors. I also head up a nonprofit, California Geriatric Society, and my day job is I'm a regional medical director for a health plan. We insure the uninsured and most vulnerable. Alina, maybe you've heard of it, but yeah, so it's a pleasure for me to have joined your panel. And actually, I didn't know a lot of the members and what they do, so I'm looking forward to hearing it. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, and drive safe. We appreciate you joining us by phone. Okay, so next we'll go to Peter.
Hey everyone, Peter Chu. I work in project management at UC San Diego Health, specifically in the quality and patient safety department. So a bit of data analytics, licensing, accreditation, infection control, et cetera. So it's been quite a year to be in that role. And then like Lane, I'm an alum of the district. So I went to Carmel Valley Middle School in Torrey Pines.
So we always love it when alum come back to give back to the community and help the district in different ways. So thank you. Next, I don't believe Amy Flicker is on the line. Is that correct, Cindy? I don't see her, so I'm going to skip over Amy. Amy Flicker has been serving on the ICOC for quite some time. She also has a student in the district, but she doesn't look like she's here with us tonight. It's our understanding she was moving, so there were some problems getting her links, etc. So I'll go to Lucianne.
Yes, hi, I'm Lucianne McCauley, and I'm considered the senior citizen member, even though I don't feel old. I retired from San Diego High School District after 19 years, and I worked with John Adelman for 18 of those years. So
we don't know who that is. Who's that?
But who? I don't know. Maybe you've heard of him, but
heard of him.
Anyway, I think they were waiting for me to retire to recruit me to be on this board. So I'm happy to be here. And having worked in the bond department, I'm always interested in what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you. And then Robin, I'll end with you in terms of ICOC. And then if you don't mind, after you, I'd like to introduce the staff as well.
Okay, no problem. So my name is Robin Devine. I am an immigrant from South Africa. I have been in this country, I think now 23 years. One of the greatest, is the greatest country to be in. I'd like to just let you know that. I don't talk funny. You guys all talk funny. I just want the record to reflect that. That's really, really important. I work for a company called GAFCON, G-A-F-C-O-N. GAFCON is a program project construction management company. I'm the president and chief operating officer of the company, and I've been with GAFCON ever since I arrived in this country. So that makes me very familiar with bonds and construction and all of that good stuff that John and the team do, because I do that exactly what he does, but on the opposite side of what I'm doing right now. So this is a great opportunity to actually be the client, right? Because normally I'm on the other side, presenting and doing all of that fun stuff. So it's been quite a fun ride over the last several years. I represent the Taxpayer Association. That's who I represent here on the Oversight Committee. I do some other things in my spare time too. I am on San Diego Community College District's Corporate Council. I am on the advisory board for continued education for San Diego Community College District as well. I'm also I also get invited to be on a panel where kids present project management opportunities and a whole bunch of stuff as it pertains to project management. And I'm on a panel and I could guide them. And last week I was appointed a board member for a nonprofit organization called ACE. ACE stands for Architect, Construction, Engineering. It's a mentor program for young kids, trying to steer them in the right direction. So we mentor them. We are an organization that also helps out with scholarships and internships and things like that. So I do a whole bunch of different things besides my day job as well. But I believe I'm in my last term now for being on this committee, and we'll go from there. So welcome to everybody.
Thank you. And then would like to introduce the staff. So I didn't even introduce myself, but I think because I conducted the interviews, I think everybody hopefully remembers, but Tina Douglas, and I'm the Associate Superintendent of Business Services for the district. And then I'd also like to introduce the rest of the team. So John Adelman, who's our Executive Director of Planning and Facilities. John, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of background. He's like the patriarch in the district. He's been here a really long time, extremely talented individual, very fortunate to be working with this team. I comment on, this is my 5th district that I've been in. It's a fabulous district. The people are phenomenal. And John is a hidden gem. And so I'd like to try and keep him under the radar, because my worry is someone might try and steal him away. But John, if you wouldn't mind just...
I tried to do that last week, but he refused.
Yeah, don't even go there, Robin. So John, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself and then introducing Mike and Dan.
Oh, sure. I've been here a little while. Mike might have me beat a little bit. Coming up on 22 years with the school district next month. In my prior life coming to the district, had a part in investment banking as well as software development, specifically for doing time and billing software for local attorneys here in San Diego. Through the district, I've had a great career, largely within the planning department. With my banking experience, been able to do a lot of financings and help lead the finance team here with the district. We'll talk a little bit about that this evening, as have a little bit of exciting news. And then, for the last coming up on 9 years, almost 10 years now with the Prop AA program, it's just been a wonderful run. For all of our new members, we've, if you haven't read the annual report that the ICOC members have put together for this year, I think it's being presented next month. It has a great history of all the work done, and it's been a great honor to move this program forward. And so happy to have you all here as the ICOC committee has been a great body of people to work with, and a lot of the work that is in the annual report also is reflected on our website, and a lot of the communication that we try to achieve with the community in regards to the program. So thank you. before I turn it over to Mike, Dan Young, he's actually on vacation, but Dan is my director of planning with the district. I've referred to him as my mini-me, so I couldn't ask for a better planning director. Dan actually has worked for the district for quite a while as well, having come up through the facilities department, and brings a lot of expertise in not only in planning, but also in some of our construction management, helping out Mike and our construction managers, bridging that gap, as well as large knowledge of HVAC as well, which has been extra handy this last year. So with that, Mike, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks, John. I'm Mike Hoy. I'm Chief Facilities Officer for the district. I have been here, let's see, it'll be 30 years in August. That's crazy, I know. So if Lane Kefauver was at Oak Crest and took wood shop as an 8th or 9th grader back in the day, she may have very possibly had me for wood shop. But I was the assistant principal there, so hopefully you didn't get sent to the office later later in my career. So.
Oh my gosh! I graduated in '89 from San Diego. So
okay,
we might have missed each other.
I missed you.
Yeah, we just missed each other.
Darn it. But I've been a teacher at Oak Crest, Earl Warren, and La Costa Canyon. I've been the assistant principal of Oak Crest and Degano, director of technology for more than a decade. My wife, Robin, is the media center tech at Degano, and my daughter's a graduate of Torrey Pines High School. So I have had the incredible tour in my 30 years with the district. And I would be the guy that tells you I have the best job in the district. I get to build all the cool stuff and get to be on the ground every day seeing the fruits of our labor and where the Prop AA money goes. So I want to thank you all for that opportunity. It's been quite a ride.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So we don't expect you guys to all be experts at the end of this meeting by any way, shape, or form. You know, this is a learning experience for you all. I know that Cindy Schieber sent an email out to everyone with, you know, the bond measure. If you want to know some of the history, obviously we're here to answer any questions, but you also can look at the Prop AA website, which lists everything since Prop AA inception, all of the previous minutes, agendas, presentations, everything you want to know about Prop AA is on that website.
Are we not going to let Cindy talk?
You want Cindy? Oh, Cindy, I'm so sorry. Cindy, oh my gosh, Cindy's going to kill me. Cindy is the glue that keeps this crew together.
Exactly.
My indispensable. Now she's going to fire me. So Cindy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tina's assistant. I've been with the district, it'll be 20 years in May. And I'm also a community member. I've had 3 kids go through this district, and it's the only district I've ever worked for, and I've loved it. So been very happy, and I'm happy to be Tina's assistant, and I'm really glad and feel privileged to be able to work with John and Mike and Dan. Tina's right, they're a great team, and we have a great team here at the district in itself, but it's been a pleasure, really. So.
Oh gosh, she's not going to get me lunch tomorrow.
Yes, I will.
She's been working too hard. Thank you, Robin. So we did send out, or Cindy sent out, some information. So as you guys all know, and maybe you don't know, so I'll just frame it like you guys don't know. So the ICOC is a required committee because we do have Prop AA. And the whole premise really of the work that you guys do is really making sure that we're doing our fiscal responsibility of using the bond dollars appropriately as it was approved by the taxpayers, really. So that's kind of your charging order. So, you know, we want you guys to ask questions. You know, we're here to answer them. We are a committee of the board. And so because of that, we do follow the Brown Act, similar to how our board meetings are structured. And so Cindy sent information information related to that. Typically, when we have our in-person meetings, we all have the ability to get to know each other a little bit better. It's a fun working group, if you will, and maybe at some point we'll be able to have in-person meetings again. But if you guys have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to reach out to Cindy or myself. We're here to help. John Adelman would be more than happy, and the team would be more than happy to answer any questions. But for that, I just want to make sure that you guys know how appreciative we are. I said early on that this is my 5th district that I've worked in, and in one of my districts, it took me almost 6 months to get one position filled on our ICOC because we just could not get people from the community to want to volunteer and serve. And so we were blown away by the number of applications that we received. We got 34 applications for literally what we only needed 2 seats for. And then, as you can see, we did end up taking additional people because the pool was so good. So we appreciate you guys volunteering your time.
It's unheard of. I've never heard of that before. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, we work for many school districts ourselves, and it's a battle to get one committee member. And so when you get 20 candidates, it's unheard of.
Yeah, 34 candidates. Sorry. For 2 positions.
Not bad.
So thank you very much. We appreciate you guys, your willingness to serve. So with that being said, Robin, I'll turn it back over to you for item number 6 on the agenda.
Okay, so item number 6 is the review of the 2019-20, right, annual audit. And Mike will go through that, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's going to go through that with the committee.
Yes, he is.
Good evening, everyone. Everyone hearing me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good.
You can
Okay,
see.
just want to make sure.
Mike, just do me a favor. I have the audit up and ready to share. So if you want me to share it, just let me know and just tell me what page to go to, etc.
Sure. Let me introduce myself to everybody first, since that's the key for tonight. My name is Mike Mears, and I am the Senior Audit Manager with Wilkinson Hadley King. I've been with this audit firm for as long as I can remember, going on 30. Retirement is coming around the corner. So I don't know how many more years I'll be doing this, but I'm here tonight to present your Proposition AA Building Fund Bond Audit for the year ending June 30th, 2020. Tina, I believe you have the audit available. What I'd like to do is I usually go over some highlights of the fiscal year audit ending June 30th, 2020. Go over some key points and then just leave it open for some questions and answers. So be that as it may, the audit, by the way, consists of two prongs of the audit, which is the financial statements, which we're required to audit the financial statements of the Prop A Building Fund, which is Fund 2139 in the district. We audit the financial statements, and we also do a performance audit. It's a 2-pronged audit combined into one complete audit report. And to start with, I'd like to go to page 2, which is on our letterhead, and it's called an Independent Auditor's Report. And it's our summation in a nutshell. You have that, Tina?
Yep, I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay, no rush. There you go.
Can you see it?
Yep, I sure do. You can just scroll down to page 2, which is the letterhead.
Is that
there
it?
You go. That's it. Perfect. Basically what this is our summation report on the bond audit itself on the financial statements. And I'm happy to say that the district and the ICOC committee received what they call an unmodified opinion. What that means is that that's the best opinion that an auditor can give you. There were no scope limitations, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies. So that's the kind of report that you're looking for on the financial statements. One of the key elements I also wanted to point out to you was on page 11, which is the financial, statement of revenues and expenditures. This is a snapshot of the fund activity for Prop A, and I'm not going to go into too much details. There's revenues and expenditures. One of the key things I did want to point out is if you look at other financing sources and uses, the proceeds from refunding bonds, those are refunding bonds that refunded prior bond issuance in order to eliminate prior debt, and also that's there to provide savings to the taxpayers, and that is not uncommon. So what it is, and I'll get to a note disclosure which will show it a little better. A lot of school districts will refund prior bonds due to a better interest rate. And what those bonds do, a lot of times the principal is more, but actually you're saving more because it's paying off for prior bonds that have a higher interest rate. As you can see, all those numbers kind of net out to zero. You have the proceeds and the payoff of the prior debt principal, debt service interest, and the cost of issuance. And I think this is the first set that we've done on refunding bonds for Prop A. Moving forward, I want to show you the note disclosure on that real quick on page 20, which is, and you'll see there's a brief paragraph. And what I wanted to point out to you there is they refunded 2012 Series A, and it's a significant refunding. And you can tell if you look at the interest rates on 2012 Series A, the interest rate was between 1% and 5%, with some term bonds roughly around 4%. You look down to the bottom of that schedule, you'll see the refunding bonds, the interest rates are way less, 1.07 to 2.85%. Well, what that means is, in a brief nutshell, it saves the taxpayers. And if you look at the middle paragraph there, they're what they call a calculated economic gain. So it's saving the taxpayers over $7.5 million on their tax bills. And that is due to the lower interest rate. So that's great for the community. It's a solid thing to do. A lot of refunding is going on all the time between school districts and community colleges. But I did want to point that out because that is a highlight for June 30th, 2020. Moving forward, we're going to go all the way back there, Tina, to page 49. I'll let you go get there. And that's a lot of pension stuff. There you go. Basically, there's our second part of the opinion as far as the performance audit. And I'm happy to say you received an unmodified opinion on the performance. And basically what we do, if you want to just scroll down one page, there's various components that we're required to audit. One of the components, and a lot of people ask me this, well, when you test the expenditures, how much do you test? Well, because of specific bond audit for a specific fund, we're required to test a very high percentage. And down at the bottom, we tested almost 96% of the expenditures that were spent and issued out of the Prop A funds.
Is that normal? Sorry, Mike, is that normal, 96%?
Usually it's between, depending on the selection process, it's normally around 85 to 95 because of the significance and the amount of warrants that are issued. We like to go on the high end of that. I'm happy to say that all the expenditures that we tested were in conjunction with the ballot measure. It's very rare, but I do have occasional expenditures that in other districts that were not appropriate. To give you an example, we do scan the expenditure listing. And if I see something unusual, even though it's small, I'll select it. We had a district that when I saw Subway sandwiches, and I thought, well, that's very unusual. Well, basically what happened is they fed the construction crew. And I said, that's really not in the ballot measure. So we do very fine tuning to make sure that all the expenditures are in conjunction with the ballot measure and for the project list or lists that it's meant for.
Well, maybe if they decided on another vendor, you know,
I'm sorry.
Maybe if they decided on some other sandwich place, it would have been better, you know? No, I'm kidding.
No, I hear, I mean, you know, there's certain things to look for. I had another district, to give you an example, that had made an expense to an attorney. Well, if it's specifically for the bond or issues with the bond, but this was a student falling off a bus, and I said that's not in the ballot measure. So just to give you another example, and I know over the years, the district management and John and his crew have been very careful what they charge to the bond fund, and they make sure that everything's on the up and up. So I have yet to find one in the years that we've audited this measure, any non-conform expenditures. Finally, moving on, and then I'll open it up for questions. Page 53. Basically, there are no findings to report, and that's on the financial statement side and also on the performance side. And then, of course, on page 54, there were no prior findings in the audit report. If there are findings, then you just blame John and just put it on John. John didn't hear that, right? John probably.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, you did hear that, John?
I did hear that.
All right. No, I got to commend John and his crew and also the district. They're very meticulous in what they do. And I do a lot of bond audits for other districts, and due to the high volume, you guys have a tremendous volume of what you're doing in modernization, and kudos to everybody that's involved in the Prop A reporting. Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yay for a great report. I know how meticulous John is, so I'm not surprised that every year we come out without exceptions.
Thank you. I have a great team. Lucienne definitely included in that.
Not anymore, but yeah. But I trained my replacement. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have a question. This is Gary.
Yes.
I'm just curious how the pension piece fits into the bond.
Well, yeah, the pension, it's very voluminous, and I agree with you. It's all stirs and purs, but the only time that's not getting included, if you have salaries, which you're allowed to do, and you have salaries and benefits, we have to disclose the pension information based on that. It's there's the majority of that OPEB liability and the pension liability, that's all under the district, but we do have to disclose a lot of the tables. The only time that's not going to be there is if you don't charge any benefits, stirs or purs to the Fund 2139. It's just an informational piece in the notes is really all it is.
Yeah, that was a good question, Gary.
Yeah, but that was a good question, and I'm not happy with it, but it is what it is, and there's nothing wrong with charging, you know, pertinent salaries for construction along with stirs and purs. And I believe the reason stirs is in there because I think it's Mike McCoy. I think Michael was under the stirs program for starting out, and then essentially he's still getting on stirs benefits.
If I may ask just one more
correct.
question.
Sure.
In your performance review, do you check for competitive bidding, or is that in any part of the audit process?
Yes, we do check competitive bidding and also resolutions for when the bids go through to make sure that the lowest qualified bidder, and I denote the word qualified, a lot of times you don't have to take the lowest bidder, but they have to be qualified. And like I said, any of the significant construction bids that we do take a look at. And like I said, we haven't had any issues in that area.
Excellent.
Yeah, hi, this is Lakshmi Komi. Thanks for the audit details that you have provided. And as a new member, please bear with me. I just wanted to, step back on one or two background topics that definitely will help frame for me, especially in the context of this particular committee and its role. Right. So along the lines of Gary Agati's question, thanks for clarifying that it's not discretionary, for having these disclosures associated with pension and OPEB, it appears. And while the audit is strictly specific to the bond program of the district,
right,
it seems that there is nexus for salaries, wages, and benefits only because the district staff also are part of the bond program. And as such, obviously I'm putting words in your mouth because I wanted to understand from a financial statement standpoint, why are these salaries and wages line items in the R&D statement and balance sheet and such, keep coming up from top to bottom? It appears that this is not a district financial statement. It is specific, unique to the bond program.
Yeah,
and is it because all the district, relevant district staff, who are part of this bond program, construction, management, all sorts of things, those are the expenses this audit is trying to capture, and as such?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the things we do, and each year, is that we looking to see on the salaries and the benefits to see the names of the individuals that are charged to the program, okay, or to the.
Got it.
So, and a lot of it's the same people every year, but we still want to look because, for example, if they charge a custodian over at Canyon Crest to the bond fund, that's not that's not a proper expenditure in the ballot measure, okay? So we do look at the detail of who they charge and the amounts that are charged to make sure that it's justified, that there's no unauthorized personnel that are being coded to the bond fund and to those salaries. And it's exactly, and all the individuals that are charged to the bond fund are 100%, or for the most part, I shouldn't say for the most part, are all appropriate
eligible expenditures.
Employees.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a good question, that because many still think that district staff cannot charge to a bond measure like this, and you obviously it's a great question you just asked, because clearly they can, which is what's been happening, right? So that was a really good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a great question, but it's very specific, right? I mean, you just mentioned, janitorial staff, they cannot obviously charge to the bond measure. That's just not
right. We look at everybody's
team working specifically on the bond measure can. Mm-hmm. So it's a really good question, because many think they can't, and actually they can. I actually thought too, once upon a time, that they could not charge to the bond measure, but I was incorrect as well.
So thank you for this discussion. So the district has a separate audit that has nothing to do with this ICOC. This is specific to the bond matters, and board
Correct.
Also has a separate audit associated with all other employees and the balance sheet and all that stuff. Got it. And then the second overarching, topic for me is, again, in the context of this committee, how does, the audit and or, this great staff at the district doing, the fiduciary activity associated with the bond measure, where is the disclosure on on and reporting associated with the benefits that the taxpayer, the property owner, is receiving. For example, the refundings that you have conducted, how does that translate into dollar for dollar a benefit to the property owner, for example, based on the existing levy versus the new levy?
Yeah, it's all we do is we evaluate for example, when I discuss the refunding bonds, okay, the bonds are issued at a lower interest rate. The refunding bonds are issued at a lower interest rate to pay off existing bonds with a higher interest rate. So when that happens, then there's a calculated economic gain, which again isn't to the penny, and I don't know how much each taxpayer is going to save on that, but normally what they call an economic gain is the tax savings overall for the refunding bond that is issuing to the prior bond. And it was calculated out about 7 million. Now, how that's spread out, saving to the taxpayers and their tax bills over the years, that I don't know. But I do know, for example, I live in El Cajon and my property taxes have gone up and up and up because naturally, the more bonds you issue at a higher interest rate, that can cause your property taxes to go up a little higher, whether it be for a community or whether it be for an individual. But when you have a savings like that and you refund at a lower interest rate, over time, it's not going to, it's going to help the taxpayers in one way or another. Does that make sense? Okay.
It does. Maybe it is not from an audit standpoint. It's the district, and if the staff has any comments on that.
Right. And to be honest with you, refunding bonds is great. If you can always get a lower interest rate to refund a prior set of bonds that were set at a higher interest rate, it's only a savings to the taxpayer. It's very rare where, and I think I've only seen it once, where it's what they call an economic loss, where the district wasn't paying attention and they actually took a loss where it was actually not a gain at all. I mean, they were basically, the refunding bonds were a little bit higher rate than the previous bonds, which really doesn't make sense, but it can happen. It's very rare. But
Thank you.
and his crew pay very close attention to that to make sure that it's going to be a benefit to the community and to the taxpayers.
And Lakshmi, I believe John Adelman can probably speak to that in terms of how it shows up on, property taxes for the taxpayers. John, do you mind kind of talking through that?
Sure. Yeah. So I was going to say, there's besides the economic benefit of that $7.5 million to taxpayers, it is a very slight economic credit that would show up on folks' property tax bills. It's a little hard to, I've never tried to do the calculation because it'd be a little hard because there's also some additional forces in there that would also provide a credit, such as the increase in assessed value overall from year to year, as that would also have a lowering effect in terms of the actual charge per $100,000. For us, it's always keeping in mind that we are looking to have a no higher than $25 per $100,000 charge.
I see.
Yeah, and then as well, the nice part about a refunding is that by law we're not allowed to extend the term. So all of our bonds are also 25-year bonds as well. So we have a very short term compared to most other districts as well. And what it does in the case of this particular refunding is that in those years from 2020, I believe it was through 2038 is the extent of that refunding, so 18 years. That little bit of lowering from 25 down to, say 24.9 per 100,000. Also in those out years provides additional capacity whereby we can issue additional bonds in terms of that remaining authorization, perhaps a little bit earlier, which also has some added benefit in particular to this district, as we are in an era where we're facing some additional construction escalation. To give a little history, back in 2013, the board changed the overall financing plan that was originally envisioned under Prop AA. And in doing so, it had a really large economic benefit. One of the things I hope to do after this next bond series is to show the difference between the original financing plan and where we are now. But right now, it's about an economic savings of about $500 million to the San Diego taxpayers. The trade-off for that $500 million in interest savings, though, was to essentially extend the program from an end date of 2019. So we're already 2 years past, but potentially it would have been through 2035, the last bond draw. So that's a lot of unanticipated construction escalation. But that's the short synopsis of the added benefit of the refunding into taxpayers. There's also, I don't want to ruin the surprise, but there's a little bit more coming at the end.
Thanks for expounding on that, John.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any other
questions?
Yep. Here we go. Any other questions? No? Okay. So Mike, thank you. Appreciate it. Great job. Every year you do a great job. Don't retire. Right? It's only 30 years, man. So what's another 30 years, right? So we'll see you next year. You could come back and do the same thing again.
I don't know. We get COVID-19 pandemics and all these accounting changes.
It never gets old, my friend. It never gets old.
Thank you.
We certainly appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Everybody have a good night.
I also would like to just make a quick comment and just thank the district, obviously, thank the committee. It's great, obviously, to listen to what Mike just said, and looks very positive. The report was positive. It's so well done. It's really nice to hear that. All right, let's move on to the next item, and I'm going to hand that over to you, John. This is your time to shine.
Right. Share my screen here.
John, before you get started,
sure.
May I just apologize to the group for being delayed? I am so
Amy.
totally completely apologize to the group. So sorry. Thank you.
All good. Happy to have you here.
I introduced you, Amy, but I swear I did a whole lot of justice for you when you weren't here. So you're fabulous, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, but you forgot about Cindy.
I know. Don't remind me.
Ouch. Ouch. Well, tell you what, guys, I'm just privileged, and Robin is our kind of commander-in-chief here, and he knows what he's doing. So let's listen. And John, definitely.
All right. Well, I'm going to hand it to the other commander-in-chief in John. So.
Okay. All right. Okay, there it goes. All right. So, okay, here we go. Here's our agenda for the evening. And for the new members, we've kind of adopted this over the years. But if you see something different or other information you'd like to see, we're always happy to make changes and adopt different information. So we have our current projects, which I'll turn over to Mike here in a little bit. We go through change orders, given with COVID and all, and only a couple projects going on. There's not a lot there. Projects and planning, a project budget update, and then, as I've been alluding to, a update on our upcoming, knock on wood, Series E bond draw. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mike for our current projects.
Thanks, John. First on the list is the Sunset reconstruction, and that site is actually, well, we have it listed as 99.7% complete. We still have one outstanding item. We had some issue with the window roller shades somehow the replacement and repair parts got tangled up in the ongoing COVID supply chain issues. We do have those parts in stock, and we will be completing that. For those new members, Sunset High School was a very old and antiquated school. Knocking it down was actually an act of kindness. And we rebuilt on that property where we actually made a little education center out of it, where we host an adult transition program and the traditional Sunset High School as well. And it's the Riqueza Educational Center. And it's beautiful. It reuses that lot in a much more efficient way. And if you saw the old Sunset compared to the new Sunset, you would certainly be impressed, because it's a beautiful piece of construction. So we should be wrapping that up here, I would say, probably in the next couple of weeks. The parts are in. Now we kind of have to work around ongoing classes and students on campus to do the install for those window shades. But that project should be completed here by mid-May.
Yeah, and also,
slide,
oh yeah, and before you go to the next one too, I was just going to say, at the old Sunset, it was also where our former facility offices were, Minnesota relocatables. And it was as we were wrapping up the Arts and Humanities building, or partway through that building project there at San Diego Academy, I happened to be working there late one night, working through some of the financing and future project planning, and just happened to look down over the Sunset campus and count up the number of classroom buildings. Certainly over the years had an affection for the school site. And as Mike said, it was definitely an act of kindness to knock that place down, because I think the termite droppings were holding up most of the buildings there. But it just happened that the size of the campus was equivalent to the interim campus that we had at San Diego Academy. And fortunately, with district leadership, we were able to move up the Sunset project. It was actually slated in the year 2035. And I'm not sure that if we had waited that long, this project would have been done. So it was nice to find that interim housing space for the campus, so we could move forward with the demolition and then reconstruction of just an absolutely fabulous campus for our alternative high school.
Hey, John, I'm hoping at some point that when things improve, that this committee would be able to tour the Sunset, because I would really, really like to see that.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I drove by it today, and it was gorgeous. And I have seen it in all shapes over the years. So.
It was kind of a lackluster grand opening, because with COVID, we didn't, nobody came back. Here we have this brand new, beautiful school. It was all virtual. Teachers came back, but we didn't have the student population. And quite honestly, that's half the fun, is watching the students walk on campus for the first time and kind of find their way around and explore their new digs.
Yeah.
So this is the second time that we've moved an entire school. We moved them down to San Diego Academy, and previously with Earl Warren, we picked up the entire school, moved it down the hill for a couple of years, knocked the school down and rebuilt it. So that's some interesting logistical challenges to make that happen as well. But in the end, you have a beautiful project, and Sunset is certainly that. We would love to take you on a tour.
And Lucianne, you already know, but Lane, you do not. Typically, every year we do a project review, if you will. We go on a field trip with the ICOC, and we go around to the projects that we've been working on over the course of the years, so you guys can see the projects firsthand. But we weren't able to do that last year. We're hoping that this year we'll be in a better space that we'll be able to do that for everyone.
That would be exciting. Torrey Pines High School, the I building. So we are remodeling the formerly known as
Mike.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Amy Flicker. Might I just jump in? Hi, honey. Can I just jump in real quick on the ending of your conversation regarding the campus at Sunset? For those that are new, this is a labor of love that has come to fruition, that I have been around the block and then some about. And I can tell you that even the people that were not happy about stuff with regards to their ATP kids, meaning their special education kids that are continuing on, they are thrilled beyond belief at this campus. They are thrilled beyond belief at what is being provided to them. And I also have several friends of mine whose children actually attend Sunset. They too are thrilled beyond belief at what these guys have. Well, not these guys, but you know what I'm saying, that they have been able to put together, because this campus is just amazing. So sorry, Mike, didn't want to just step
No,
on your
please.
role, but I just wanted to give you some seriously honest props. You, John, everybody deserves it.
Well, Amy, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
thank
brings
you.
up a good point. With Sunset High School previously, it had a hard time offering the necessary courses for students to get an equivalent education that they would have in a comprehensive high school. So now we have a wet lab, we have legit science classes with real labs, we have an art room, we have better elective offerings, we have a garden there with a little culinary arts program. So we've really raised the bar for them, and in doing so, it's become a more attractive place for students to actually enroll. So it brings a lot to special ed, and it brings a lot to our regular ed kids as well, because it's just an expanded offerings of classes that we have there now that we couldn't previously offer.
And Mike, if I could just jump in one more time, this is again,
Yeah.
Amy Flicker, is the fact that, these are students that might need just, they might be an athlete that needs, some sort of, different kind of schedule, whatever it is, but they still need what they need as far as education goes. So this is an amazing upgrade, to Mike's point, on what we had before.
Thanks,
We
Amy.
also wanted this to be a school of choice if it was a better, like you said, Amy, if it was a better fit for their child. We didn't want it to be looked as what the school has previously been looked at, is where the kids who are struggling go, but really a destination where kids want to be if they needed a different type of format for instruction. So.
Correct, Tina. And like you just said, I mean, it's some kids just need, because they, like I said, are an amazing athlete, that their education just needs to be, whatever, and this is what is going to allow them to do that. And it's even better than before.
Well, we always pride ourselves on having something for everyone. So our two academy schools, Canyon Crest and San Diego Academy, have special offerings that attract students. Our boundary schools, La Costa Canyon and Torrey Pines, have their offerings, with their sports programs and other things that are attractive to a certain group of students. And now we have Sunset. So we really, truly are broadening our ability to meet the students' needs and what they really want. So, Amy, I appreciate your kind words. Thank you. You can chime in anytime. John, if I can have the next slide.
There you go.
So let's jump back into Torrey Pines High School. The IV building is where music and dance and some of those programs used to be held. A few years ago, we built a new performing arts center. If you missed that tour, we're definitely going to have to add that back to the list for some of our new members. But as we rebuild and rethink that space, becoming a little more high tech, kind of the core of the instructional side of that's going to be a new makerspace and CAD lab. So what is a makerspace? If you're new to that term, a makerspace is kind of a high-tech machine shop, so to speak. It could be a place where you could house robotics, where you could have other engineering type of courses. It's got a CAD lab connected to it where you can do your design in CAD or in Revit and 3D modeling. You could then go next door to the makerspace and actually design it and then build it, whether that be robotics or some other high-tech lab space. So that is going in as we speak, along with a brand new food service. We'll have a slide for that in just a second. But the makerspace does bring a lot. It takes that old IV building program and really brings it into the 21st century. Concurrently in there, we still have our auto shop, we have our wood shop, and we have our culinary arts program. So this new space will kind of round out that facility, and we changed the name to I Building for innovation. John, if I could have the next slide, please.
Okay.
So along with that, the old Black Box Theater, anybody that's been on Torrey Pines campus, maybe a Falcon, had a student as a Falcon, will know that the old Black Box was soon to become a new eatery. Our cafeteria service at Torrey Pines is certainly not equivalent to the other comprehensive high schools, both La Costa Canyon, San Diego Academy, and Canyon Crest Academy all have sit-down eateries where you have a little specialized place where you can get a quick line just to grab a snack, or you can get a more elaborate lunch. So what we're doing with this black box space is we're building a new food service area in there that will have some indoor and outdoor seating. It'll have kind of a little bit of a bistro environment on the inside, hopefully make that more attractive, keep some kids on campus that may otherwise leave during lunch, get them fed with some, quality food, and also, quality, breakfast as well that would be available to them. So that's over on the, what would that be, the southwest corner where the black box used to be, and it kind of encroaches into what used to be the lobby. John, if I could have the next slide, please. There's the inside of what's the maker space. If you've been in the band room before, I cleaned up nice. You get the demo crew in there. Those guys, they make short work of some of that stuff. They knocked down some walls and knocked out that old funky ceiling, and now you can see we've got a big, beautiful open space at kind of a clean palette that we can build and design anything we want in there. We have some really neat plans for that. It's going to have it's what we call CNC, computer controlled machinery, as well as an attached CAD lab to do the designs and bring it next door into that space. So that's an exciting program. Right now, robotics is a club activity, not an actual class. I believe at some point we would look, if the career pathway is there through CTE, to bring that into the curriculum and add that as an elective offering as well, if that works into the master schedule. Those are things that Brian Marcus and Rob Copo, the principal, would work through. Next slide. Nope. Change orders, Johnny. Back to you.
Yeah. So on the change order slide, typically change orders just for our new members come about either through the course of a project as owner-directed changes come about, or some kind of amendment for some unforeseen condition that might arise. Not that it was attached to Prop A, but still one of my favorite ones is when we were building Canyon Crest and found the bus that was buried out there in the tomato fields. So you never know what you might find when you're doing construction. But the majority of our change orders really come at the end of our construction projects. As we've wrapped up the LCC Culinary Arts modernization. Also just a fantastic product for our students. When we're able to take you on a tour, that facility, which I believe is our third culinary arts project as part of Prop AA, is really something else compared to the old home ec that it used to be.
So what was this particular change order, this deduction? What is this, John?
This is just the final change out in regards to.
So was it an allowance item or in the contract initially?
I think it was part allowance, and then as well, if I remember right, I think we had some additional savings for the outdoor landscaped areas as well.
Yeah, we streamlined some of that outside landscape and saved a few bucks there.
Yeah.
So it was a combo, an allowance, and what you just mentioned now.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And then for projects and and I was going to say too, not that $48,000 is a fair chunk of money. But also as part of the process, and I'll talk to it a little bit later on, but as we do have negative change orders, those are dollars that go back into the pot of Prop AA, and these savings end up finding their way into those long list of financial sheets at the end, where we do find savings within our projects, and we use those savings to help advance projects, either through planning for future projects, for future bond draws, or in some cases actually advance whole projects. So projects and planning. So have a few things on the plate, and with any luck here in another month, we'll have a whole bunch more on the plate. right now, Mike is working on audiovisual improvements. Mike has been doing these improvements throughout the district since Prop A started back in 2013. And he's done absolutely amazing things in regards to the overall technology infrastructure, both in terms of the hardwire and how things are accessed in the classrooms, as well as the sheer amount of Wi-Fi available to our students and staff out on the school sites. And I'll let Mike talk about it, as we're now coming back around to Canyon Crest, whose original AV came in about through 2004, 2006 as the campus was constructed. Same with Carmel Valley, whose technology has been updated in fits and starts, but is almost original to its 1999 campus. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mike.
Sorry, John, I just have a quick question. So there's three different schools, right? I see that, right?
Correct.
Did you bid? Was that all bid out as one package? Is that how it was done? How did you get to Digital Networks Group?
Oh, perfect. I'll let Mike answer this question. This is a good one.
Thanks, John. So let me address Robin's question. First of all, we oftentimes use purchasing vehicles to streamline the process. And in this particular case, CMAS is a common purchasing vehicle that we use. They competitively bid across the state of California. So all three of these projects will be done under the CMAS contract, Robin, which gives us that guaranteed price and for labor and for materials as well.
Is there a limit? I'm familiar with CMAS. I just can't remember this. Is there a limit on CMAS contracts in terms of dollar amounts?
You can set a limit, but I believe, and I have to go back to my contracts experts, which would be Caroline Roberts, but I believe that that's a limit that we can set as a district, which we do not. So we would still be within. We're going to spend all $1.5 million at once here. This has been spread out for two reasons. Number one, trying to get the labor and the supply chain to work. Number two, if you buy everything new all at once, then it's old all at once. And then your replacement cost down the road when Prop A is gone becomes insurmountable. So as we look at this, Robin, the first thing we're going to do is Canyon Crest Academy. I have 44 classrooms already approved by the board. I met with, we're going to do a mock-up classroom. I met with that teacher actually yesterday. We're going to mock up that classroom, make sure it's what the site wants. And then this summer we'll bang out 44 classrooms and get that work done. Carmel Valley, I'm still meeting with teachers. That one has some special challenges. Small classrooms, got some obstacles like sliding marker boards and things that make traditional projectors not work. We're looking at using LED TV monitors. And we'll probably do a couple of phases of that one, partly over summer and probably again over working after hours in the fall to accomplish Carmel Valley. Of course, Degano is ongoing with the reconstruction of the C building, the D building, which you're going to see pop up here in a minute, and then the F building and the K building as well. We've been picking those off just a few at a time in conjunction with our projects. So we're getting close on those as well. So those won't be all done at once, but CMAS does not have that limit for the project and labor. We have not set that, but that's up to us. So we've been through this with the county and our lawyers and everything to make sure that we're legit doing this, Robin.
And where does Digital Networks Group come out of again? I mean, the familiar name to me.
Oh, Digital Networks has been doing work for our district, gosh, since the bond began. For audiovisual installs, I've used Vector, I've used Digital Networks, we've used Pathway, we use Audio Associates. We've had several vendors.
Are they local, San Diego?
Digital Networks is their corporate offices in Lake Forest.
Okay.
But you've heard that name before because they've done a lot of classrooms for us, and they do cabling as well, along with Fredericks Electric and some other electrical contractors that we've used as well.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does. It's a familiar name, and so that's why I'm just trying to see if my memory.
Yeah, they really bring value to the table. These are not guys that hit you with a lot of change orders. They don't nickel and dime you. They stand behind their stuff to the best of any electrical contractor I've worked with. If there's a problem, they're not coming back with change orders and bills. They're making it right. And
no, I'm not questioning. I'm not questioning that at all.
To work with.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about best value too. So best value is always a top contender, and you know how that works.
No, I do, but you're also under CMAS, so you know.
Yes, we are under CMAS. We use PEPM, we use TIPS, and we also use NCPC as some of our purchasing vehicles. as well as WISCA. So we'll pull from different contracts that the state has competitively bid.
Can I just butt in again, Mike? This is Amy.
Absolutely.
Robin, what's your concern?
No concern. No concern whatsoever.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. No, believe me, no concern.
No, those are good questions, Robin. I appreciate it. I'm happy to answer those, and I don't want to be the only guy talking, Amy. So please feel free to chime in if you have questions or something to add. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, the district has a number of tools in its chest to do procurement in a competitive manner. So with whether it's CMAS or WISCA or North County Consortium, there's a lot of other opportunities for the district to achieve good value, in addition to things that in certain circumstances may not make much sense, such as trying to go out for a low bid for a cabling and AV equipment type job.
So Amy, to answer your question, my concern was answered when they explained CMAS to me. Okay. My initial concern was 3 different schools, same contractor. I would always question that, always, but they answered it as a result of CMAS. So no concern.
No, I guess, hang on, guys. I guess what I was more asking Robin wasn't like questioning Robin. It was more to educate why he was asking was more the question. Does that make sense?
Yes. This is Gary. I'd like to make a comment. I think it's very important to comment that you don't have change orders. I used to represent the National Electrical Contractors Association, and they had many issues with the San Diego Unified School District over change orders and their members. So it's comforting to hear that you're dealing with a contractor that is not prone to come back with change orders, because it's easy to do, and it's easy to find something in an architect's plans. If you say, well, wait a second, this is different than what he spec'd, and we need some more money on this. So it's good that you got a contractor like that.
Well, Gary, you bring up a really good point. So let's talk about just a regular job, whether it be electrical, plumbing, or whatever. A lot of people will bid low and then come back and nickel and dime you with change order after change order after change order to recoup the money that they thought they may have left on the table with that low bid. When you use a competitively bid contract like CMAS or WISCA, should I have a change order, that price is already fixed. They can't come in and highball me, because I already know what the hourly labor rate is to install a projector, and this wire is going to cost me this much for this many feet. If I do have a change order, I still get best value and best price, because that CMAS contract controls what they can charge me. So
that's what was comforting to me. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was the comfort component for me right there, because of the CMAS.
Okay, well, good. Yeah, this is a Citizens Oversight Committee. You're here to ask the tough questions. Believe me, fire away.
Yeah.
Hi. This is Lakshmi Komi. I just have a quick question.
Yes.
So generally, I mean, it appears that these are system improvements. What is the overall expected, I suppose, useful life? How long will these last?
Well, that's an excellent question. So we began these upgrades with La Costa Canyon back in 2013, and that equipment's still in service. If I get a decade out of anything technology, I'm a happy guy. So in the technology world, things grow so quickly and become obsolete so quickly. So we're looking at doing some wireless upgrades. John mentioned wireless earlier. La Costa Canyon was one of the very first sites that we did. As we begin to look at wireless upgrades over the next year or so, we'll have to start going back and upgrading their wireless to make it current with some of the new equipment that's coming out. So what would that be? That would be 8 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years. That's good lifespan of technology, Lakshmi.
Great.
In my opinion.
Yeah, John, that seems right. All these with this very technology soft elements to the overall project. So in that regard, I'm sure as bond proceeds are applied, taking into consideration with the new money bond issuances that bond council takes into account the weighted average useful life of all these, because it's a mix of things with the 25 years.
Yep, correct. Yeah, yep, exactly. And as we look at each financing, we take into consideration some of the shorter life assets that might be purchased, and we look to make sure that we have some kind of short-term financing to make that up, so that way taxpayers know that those dollars are paid off quickly and early and at a low interest rate, versus the larger projects which are funded within that structure with the longer-term debt.
Great to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah. So, all right. Additional projects in planning. We had achieved some savings earlier in the year, and so we've put some of those dollars to getting a head start on a modernization project there at Degania in buildings C and D. So these are getting back around to more of a typical modernization, looking to update finishes if possible, lighting, and some building envelope. Some of these particular classrooms are also a little bit of a challenge in that they were constructed back in 1985 under some of the old code, whereby a typical classroom might have 960 square feet. These have a smaller square footage, as the square footage was taken for resource rooms, which are shared between the classrooms. So as part of this, we're also looking at creative ways by which to maybe take out some of the fixed casework that is not as adaptable or flexible as it used to be, and doing that with the different types of furnishings in order to gain additional square footage. And then as well, from prior projects there at Degania Middle School, we're coming back around to some of the outdoor spaces immediately adjacent to the classrooms to also create opportunity for additional outdoor space, whereby in this great San Diego weather that we have, granted it's supposed to rain tomorrow or Thursday, but but we look to take advantage of some of that outdoor space in conjunction to the classroom, creating some what should be some really nice and cool outdoor learning areas.
Is 960 square foot still the current CDE requirement?
Yeah, it's still what they look for in terms of if you're going to definitely seek state funding. 960.
Yeah, that's correct. Is 960 still the number?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then as well, we're looking at coming around to what will likely be the second to the last phase there at Oakcrest Middle School. If you haven't been to Oakcrest, they have Crest Hall. We're looking to do a modernization there as well, in conjunction with some other funding that we have through our Mello-Roos program. May also try to introduce, as part of that project, some solar component to the campus. And then as well, as part of our overall master plan, it's the balance of the fire road through the campus. So this was one of our few school sites where, 9 years ago, getting a fire truck from the entry point to the campus to the backside of the campus would have been nearly impossible. So, this will help to complete that fire access through the campus. Also, with Oakcrest, this one's also a really cool one for me. We had done a portion of our media center there, which is building C, and we started on that, put in the media center, but never addressed the other half of the building. So this brings in the rest of the student support services at the school site as part of a modernization, as well as a really cool area that I believe will also be used for ASB, as well as a component for cartooning as well. So just really cool what folks are doing at our middle school sites these days. And then with the building I, it's also coming back around to creating just an absolutely marvel of a building for our special ed students in that program on campus. So really looking forward to that. That will actually start here next month, and look to have completed in August. And then also we have some dollars, and actually secured enough in savings to take out the relocatables that we were using there for Sunset and for San Diego all these years. And we're in the process of working through the city of Encinitas to get plans approved for restoring the parking lot, and then as well get. It is a challenge, but.
My light. Sorry, guys. Yeah, sorry. I'm just saying. Gosh, you are a saint.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of patience you develop. So, but so far it's coming along, and we're getting a head start on some of the final phases at San Diego, which will be in relationship to their athletic program largely, as well as some of the student support buildings. But this will help bring back some of the play courts that were taken away prior to Prop AA back in 2010 when we built the Performing Arts Center at that school campus. Also at SDA, just like I was talking about, looking at some of the sport buildings A and B, principal's office and counseling area. Those are our 1930s buildings. Back when the campus was built back in the 1930s. So there's a lot of love here to trying to improve the building envelope, especially here taking attention to those piers that in the next decade will be 100 years old. So making sure that we make some structural improvements as well as some building envelope improvements to make sure they stand for another 100 years. Also looking at the IV building, which is our industrial arts building there at San Diego Academy, and bringing that building up into the 21st century. As part of that building development, we're hoping to achieve what we were able to do here at Torrey Pines in terms of that makerspace development. And just in the same regard, we also try to leverage our Prop AA dollars. And so at Torrey Pines, part of that project in regards to that makerspace will also be through the state school building program for its career tech ed. And so we had a successful run in securing dollars as part of that program for Torrey Pines makerspace, about $1 million. And so we're looking to make that same run again here for San Diego Academy as we improve that space and building. And then at Torrey Pines, Mike went over the first phase here, which is putting in the makerspace, the CAD lab, digital art classroom, and the food service. But on the back side of the building, or what was actually adjacent to the building where the Performing Arts Center was, were our art classrooms. Those classrooms have been out there in the field for the last several years. And so this phase here will bring back that new art classroom building, allowing us to give art now a permanent home again on the school campus. And then we'll be improving kind of that back end of the campus, bringing in a bit more green space and parking lot there as well. As part of that art classroom building, we'll also be leveraging some of our Melrose dollars to not only build back the 3 art classrooms that were taken away and put into interim housing, but also to bring back a second digital art classroom that will potentially double as a light TV studio as well. And then with this, might have to move you around here on my screen.
Amy, did you have a question? I saw your hand up.
I thank you, Tina. Thank you. John, I did have a quick question. Just in general, what is your anticipation for Melrose coming out of Encinitas for the next year? Any idea?
Just in terms of new tax revenue, or building improvements. Oh, yeah, off the top of my head, I don't recall. We have three.
Okay, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just curious. That's all.
Oh, yeah. In terms of new building development, yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot. If anything, it would be.
Well, I guess the reason why I'm asking is
Yeah.
because of so much building that's going on right now in Encinitas. I'm just curious, how is that going to possibly help us? And do you have, are you getting any information about even a ballpark of what that, I mean, I'm not going to tag you to a number, but a ballpark of what that might look like?
Oh, sure. Yeah, off the top of my head, yeah, we've secured a number of dollars. I believe I still have outstanding somewhere around 15 million, of which a portion of that is for community facility districts up at the north end of our district, covering Encinitas, Carlsbad. Yeah. And those are, some of those dollars are actually being put to use right now. So part of that Oak Crest modernization for the balance of the Building C and Building I are Melrose funded, just like that solar component there as well. And we are also using it to make some current building improvements, whether it's security related in regards to the installation of cameras or the rekeying of like La Costa Canyon and Oak Crest Middle Schools and the like.
I guess my question was more around what your like anticipation is, or maybe Tina can help me, like your anticipation of revenue, quote unquote revenue, when it comes to funding this, that's going to come because of all of this building that's about ready to happen here on the north end.
Yeah, within the community facility districts itself, they are largely built out. So as developers come on with new construction, they have the option these days by which to annex into an existing community facility district or not. Way back in the day when I first started, the district had much more leverage by which to force developers into a Melrose district versus paying statutory fees, but that's long been evaporated. So yeah, so in terms of future dollars from...
John, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. So if I'm understanding you correctly, for us here on the north end of the district, the brand new Hyatt Hotel that went in, the other hotels that are going in, they don't pay anything into the schools?
They pay statutory school fees,
okay,
which is a whole other capital fund. Yeah, they don't go into, yeah. Yep, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's it. That's all. I'm sorry. Yep.
No, it's okay. I don't get to pull it on my Melrose hat too often, so I like it. Let's see. Where were we? Okay, project budget update. For especially the new members, I'll go through this metric. This actually was developed through the ICOC committee. Within your overall packet, there's another one that I think Robin affectionately refers to as the eye chart. But here it talks to the authorized amount of Prop A are $449 million. We don't receive those dollars all on day one. They are issued in bonds over time as increases in assessed value allow. To date, we've issued 364 million and some change. Subtracting for the cost of issuing that debt, adding in interest earnings on the proceeds we received, we have approximately $367 million to allocate to projects. Of that 367, we've budgeted and or committed $362 million, having about $5 million on hand currently, either as unallocated budgets within existing projects or dollars on hand that we haven't allocated to a project just yet. In addition to that, we've had a number of opportunities to enhance our projects, just kind of like what I was describing. So we've been leveraging other dollars. To date, just under $32 million between other developer mitigation funds, partnerships with the County of San Diego or Friends of the Library or PTSAs, other school districts or insurance proceeds. So we've done our best to create the best school facilities for our students, leveraging Prop A as well as other opportunities to make enhancements. So with that, our remaining authorization of the 449 is just shy of $85 million. That's at 84.96 million there over on the far right. So that leads into the next slide here. So when just a few months ago, when I was assisting Robin and the ICOC team with the development of the annual report, I had given to Robin what the snapshot was at that time. So just 2 months ago, we were thinking that that $85 million was going to be issued over 3 additional issuances. One this year, and I was already excited because I was originally anticipating only 25 million, and so I was excited to think we were going to receive $33 million. The next series would have been in 2024, which was also exciting because in some years that was 2025, but about 26.5, and then that last series hanging way out there in the year 2035 for that remaining 25 million. Since then, we've been looking at where the bond market's gone, and it is starting to move a little bit away from the low. But if we were able to issue a few weeks ago, we would have definitely been able to achieve getting the whole $85 million this year, which would have advanced all of those projects hanging out there in those years of 2024 and 2035. And combining that with another refunding of our 2015 Series B bonds, that was the second series of bonds we issued, we would have been able to achieve that. Still looks like we might have that opportunity, but right now, as we continue to look at where the market goes, we also look at making sure that we have a economic savings as part of any refunding. And so that does play a key piece in this, creating that additional capacity that I was talking about earlier. So at this point in time, we wouldn't refund all of the 2015 series bonds. We would just look at those bonds where we would have at least a more than 3% economic savings in order to create that capacity and receive these dollars here this year versus the cost and time of issuing 3 issuances between now and 2035. So that's our exciting news for the evening, in that Robin will almost get to see and serve on the ICO committee until the end, but we would probably look to have Prop A wrapped up here in 5 years. So that would be really great. We'd be able to ideally complete a large portion of the remaining projects. As I had mentioned earlier, the district had, oh, go ahead, Amy. Go ahead.
Can I just ask a dumb question? Again, always dumb. How much actually goes into like landscaping? I know that sounds so silly just to say like it's like a squirrel. It's like, what? But
well, there is actually a fair
get like actually allocated. Maybe Mike can talk to that. I'm like, it's like a squirrel, me saying landscaping. But I mean, how much of that gets allocated to our schools?
Oh, well, there's no fixed formula for landscaping.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It is really project by project.
Okay.
Though I can tell you, the landscape architects do like to dream big. And as part of bringing a project back into budget, landscaping usually is one of the first things to get value engineered. So, or in other words, cut out of a project.
I was just going to say that. That's exactly what happens. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, Robin, you guys don't make fun of me now.
No, but it's just the reality. It's landscaping, it's pretty and everything else, but it just gets valued engineered every single project. That's what happens.
Robin, I mean, I don't know the last time you drove your kid into school, but lately, guys, it looks a little, so it doesn't matter if you're at Torrey Pines, at LCC or Degano. I'm just North End, so I can't speak to the South End, but lately it's like, okay.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is, I mean, like John said, it's based on projects, but there is some additional work that's been happening in the grounds department to address exactly what you're talking about, Amy, and John can talk to that if you want him to.
And I witnessed the work at Torrey Pines High School. I've seen some of that landscaping happening over the last week. I went for a walk on Saturday and Sunday. So it's happening. It's happening, Amy.
Well, Robin, what I'm not doing, you know me well enough to know I'm not throwing anyone ever under a bus. That is not my point. We're all here as a team. But what I'm saying is, I'm just curious, like, how does that get allocated, right? That's it.
I would defer that to John.
Yeah, and I would say, within Prop A, it's definitely project specific, but I do have other resources at my disposal outside of Prop A that are more attributed to ongoing operations, and it's with those dollars now that I have a new ground supervisor with new ideas. They're I think off the top of my head, I have about 20 landscaping projects throughout the district that are now taken into effect. One of them is what Robin saw there at Torrey Pines, is we're enhancing the front of Torrey Pines. And part of the reason that it's taken a while is also through bringing on additional labor. Specifically, I have a new grounds irrigation specialist that's helping me reestablish areas that had been left to fail, and now we're being able to re-energize them. So it's actually pretty exciting. So
well, one thing yes, John, one thing I will say on the record, I do not doubt you, and I do not doubt Mike. And so that's not my question. Mike's just question was, it's kind of looking a little ratty around town. So if we can clean it up, that would be awesome.
Nope, we're on it. I totally agree with you. So.
Hey, John, changing the subject. Regarding you said that Prop AA is completed maybe in the next 5 to 6 years. How does that affect people's property tax bills? Or does it? We keep paying on it, or how does that work?
Oh, sure. So with this, so if we are successful, the nice part is that in terms of the overall payment of taxes would be 25 years from this last series. But if not potentially even a little bit earlier. So we're still working with those dollars. So worst case scenario, you'd be paying through, 2046.
Oh God,
but in terms of that $25 per 100,000, as the other 4 series are paid off, with the first one in 2038, that tax rate, as you get further out, comes down. So there would be a lessening effect. The other thing that we're looking at with this final series as well, in terms of its structure, is when Series A pays off, as well as I believe Series B, that those debt service dollars will be able to apply in large mass at the very end of the term, which should potentially bring in that final term maybe a little bit earlier. So,
thank you.
So with that, you're getting a little snap preview of what we're looking for the board to potentially approve on Thursday evening, as we look to potentially do the 5th and final bond of Prop AA. So, any questions? That's what we have for the evening.
Yeah, John, thank you for the overview. I was trying to understand if it seems like the board is taking an action pretty soon. And I'm assuming, maybe this is the wrong assumption, that it is for the entire remaining amount of 85 million. If so, why is that a 5-year horizon? It seems like more imminent. What is this 5-year bookend?
Oh, no, that's a great question. So ideally, we have to have a great amount completed within the first 3 years, as I would like to keep the IRS happy in maintaining our tax-exempt status. So, there's going to be a
the spend down.
What's that?
You're looking at the spend down of 5 years, although you may issue now.
Correct, exactly. Yeah. So it's what the thought that the vast amount gets built within in 3, and then there are some that will be some challenges. So we're looking at probably be 2 years beyond that to wrap up the balance of the projects.
I am able to understand that now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. No, great question. So. Yeah, as part of the overall program, yeah, we also look at all the post-issuance compliance as well. So,
all right. Any other questions for John? So at least I've got something new I could put in the report next year.
That's right.
Right. Don't have to ask you for all those escalation costs anymore.
I know, exactly.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. That's good. Nice surprise. Nice to hear.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll hope the markets hold where they are for a little while longer.
Correct. And we'll see what the board does on Thursday night.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Excellent. All right. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. All right. Let's continue. We get in there. We're almost there. I thought that was the fun part of the meeting, but now we really going to have the fun part of the meeting. So we got to do some things. We've got to nominate, we've got to elect, we've got to do all of the good things. So 3 positions, president, representative, and secretary over the next 12-month period. So the process is we all get a chance to nominate somebody, and then we get a chance to vote. And that person will be responsible for that position over the next 12 months. So let's start with the president, with the president position. Currently, that's my position. So I would like to call upon any nominations.
Robin, do you want Cindy to explain a little bit about what each of the positions do?
Sure. Cindy, would you like to do that?
Sure. You can tell by watching Robin what the president does. So just runs the meetings, meets with Tina to go over the agenda, and that is really basically it, I think. Just running the meetings. Unless I'm wrong, unless there's something else in there, Robin, that you want to add that you've been.
Don't forget about the annual report.
Oh, the annual report, but that's voluntary.
Correct.
So,
it is.
You have been great to lead that ad hoc committee. So we're very appreciative of that. You guys have done a great job there. So Robin has always spearheaded that. So we're appreciative of that. The representative basically presents the annual report to our board once a year, and that's usually done. It's a little late this year, usually in, it's going to go in May this year, I believe. So normally in April, I think if the timing is correct, we present our annual report to the board for their review and acceptance. So that's what the representative does. And then the secretary can keep notes. I basically do the minutes for the meetings. So the secretary is there and can take notes and add to anything that that they feel is necessary to put into the report or add to a meeting.
Any questions?
Is anyone staying in their current seat, or are you looking for all new officers?
It all depends who you nominate. So we know that the representative and the secretary are no longer, right? Geraldine and Christine are no longer.
Correct.
So the only one that remains is myself as president.
Yes.
That was good. Okay, gotcha.
And President, would I please make at least a motion that you would remain, if you would, please, as president?
I second that.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other individuals that would like to be president?
So I think we need to nominate. So we need a nomination and then we need a motion. And
Yeah, I'll get to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So the nomination is for me, right, as to continue as president.
Correct. And I am actually making a formal motion, Cindy, that I would like to have Robin continue on as president. That's my motion. If that is like the most stupid way to say something, that's what it is. There we are.
And I am seconding that. Is that a word? I second the motion to have Robin be our president for this next year.
Okay.
All right. Is that it? All right. So let me read that out again. So we have a motion, right? By Amy, we have a second. I need to read it out. By Lucienne, that nominations be closed, and that Robin Duveen, right, be elected president of the committee for the term of 12 months to preside over meetings of the committee. Hand it back to you, Cindy, with roll call.
Okay. Mr. Aguirre?
Hello.
He was on mute.
Oh,
Yes, I'm voting in favor of Robin. Yes.
thank you. Ms. Chow?
I agree. Yes,
Mr.
yay.
Mr. Chu?
Aye.
Mr. Dahan?
Aye.
Mr. Duveen?
Yes.
Ms. Flicker?
Aye.
Ms. Kefauver?
Aye.
Ms. Comey?
Yes.
And Ms. McCauley?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. Let's move to the next one, which is the election of the representative. Prior to that, I know at the last board meeting, we talked about Peter being either going to be the representative or going to be the secretary. My memory is not so good anymore. So can somebody help me?
Come on, Peter.
Which one did Peter want to be? I can't remember.
Come
I
on,
think it's a
Peter.
representative.
Representative, right? Okay. All right. So can we get a motion by somebody, please? Can we get a nomination first, please? For
I don't know how this works. So how does it work, Robin? What's proper?
well, let's get it. We need to nominate somebody. So can we? Who do we call upon?
Okay. Yes, Amy Flicker nominates Peter Chu.
Okay. And then we need to get a second for that as well.
Second, this is Lakshmi.
Okay.
Hey, all right, girl.
Anybody else any other nominations? Anybody else that would like to be representative over the next 12 months? I'll take that as a no. So motion by Amy, is that correct? Second by, I'm struggling with the name,
Lakshmi.
There we go. All right. That Peter, right? Peter Chu be elected representative of the committee for the term of 12 months to represent the committee at public meetings of the board and make reports thereto on a regular basis as the committee shall determine or as the board may request.
Hey, Robin.
Yes.
Robin, can we just ask Peter if he really wants to do this?
Peter?
I'm just
Peter, would you like to do it?
Yes, I'd be honored. Thank you.
Okay, I thought so. I thought you would be.
Yeah.
All right. Cindy, roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Ms. Chow?
Yes.
Mr. Chu?
Aye.
Mr. DeHaan,
Yes.
Mr. Duveen,
Yes.
Ms. Flicker,
Aye.
Ms. Kefauver,
Aye.
Ms. Comey,
Yes.
Ms. McCauley.
Yes.
All right. The final one, election of secretary. Can I get a nomination, please, or nominations? Amy?
I would like to nominate Ms. Kefauver.
All right.
Me? Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second, Lakshmi.
What does this entail? I understand you're an awesome note taker. I've read your minutes.
The secretary really, it's title only, because at the end of the day, Cindy is the one who does all of the minutes. So there really isn't a lot in terms of the role of the secretary that you would have to do outside of the ICOC meetings.
But it's great on your LinkedIn.
You know, Miss Douglas, I don't think that's actually fair. I think that the role, they have to show up, they got to be present, they have to take minutes, and I mean, it's not just
okay, I'll take very careful review of the minutes. Obviously, I'm kind of signing off on them, so I recognize the responsibility.
Yeah, no, and Amy, I didn't mean to diminish it by any way, shape, or form, but I was interpreting it to mean kind of outside of the outside work beyond what the meetings entail. That was kind of what I was trying to let her know. Outside of the meetings, there's not a lot of time that needs to be spent.
Thanks, Amy.
So Ms. Kefauver, are you good with that? You willing to take that on?
Sure, yes.
All right, excellent. So motion by, sorry, who was the motion by again?
Amy.
By Amy, thank you. Thank you. And we had a second by, thank you.
By Lakshmi, yeah.
Thank you. That Ms. Kefauver, right? Will be elected secretary of the committee for the term of 12 months to keep accurate minutes of the committee's meetings and actions in order to fulfill the legal requirements that such minutes and documents and reports be entered into public records. And so for the last time for tonight, I will once again call upon Cindy.
Okay, Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Ms. Chow?
Yes.
Mr. Chu?
Aye.
Mr. DeHaan?
Yes.
Mr. Duveen?
Yes.
Ms. Flicker?
Aye.
Ms. Kefauver?
Aye.
Ms. Comey?
Yes.
And Ms. McCauley?
Yes.
So excellent. A couple of things. First of all, congratulations to everybody. Well done. And second of all, I will do much better with names at the next board meeting. I promise you that right now. All right. Let's move on to the final item of the night, which is our discussion action items. And that's basically to look at the, let's call it the tentative schedule for the next year. And I believe these dates are very similar to what we've had over the last year. And I believe that's why Cindy put these dates together.
Yeah, can we put that on the screen though? I mean, what are we talking about?
Sure. Can we do that?
Yes, that would be lovely. So all of us are on the same page.
Cindy, do you want me to share or?
Yes, please.
Yeah, are you able to do it, Tina? Easier than I am?
That would be helpful, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, let me just pull it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so excited you guys are here. That's so awesome.
And this will be one of our longest meetings is tonight too.
Right?
Right?
Correct. All right.
Exactly.
So we're looking at as Tina's going to pull it up, Amy, I'll just kind of look at it high level. So we're looking at July, October, January of next year, March of next year, April of next year. Those are the 5 months of next year. I know.
But Robin, okay, maybe Cindy can answer this. Which one is the one that we're going to do the travel bus?
I don't believe that's in there. Am I correct, Cindy?
Yeah, it's not in there. That is usually in October. That's our projects tour, and it usually happens in October, and the board decides on that date. And obviously, because of COVID, we skipped that this
But it's
year.
it's on the thing, Cindy.
No, we have a meeting in November. We have a meeting in October. We have
Yeah.
a regular meeting in October, and then the projects tour is a special meeting. It's a separate.
Okay, so that would be separate than the October 12th date.
That's correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Thank you.
So I know it's hard for everybody basically to look at their calendars right now and go, yeah, what are you doing April 19, 2022? Because I can tell you that it's my wife's birthday. So I know what I'm doing April 19, 2022.
Yeah,
so
what are you doing April 19th, 2022?
I'm going to be attending a board oversight committee meeting and then taking my wife out for dinner. I can tell you that right now.
Everybody on this board needs to learn that we're all friends here. So we're all good. Okay. So on July 13th, that's our first next meeting. Yes, Cindy?
That's correct.
Okay.
And we anticipate that to be virtual, I'm assuming, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, July 13th.
Wow.
Probably so.
Yep. All right, the next one is October 12th. And that will wrap up 2021. And then we'll see if we have a tour or not. And generally that tour is, Cindy, is that generally after October 12th? I know it's in the same month, but it's generally after. Is that correct?
It depends on when the board chooses the date. So
okay.
It's all about scheduling. So it could be before and it could be after.
All right, I'm not going to worry about that right now. Then we've got January 18th, March 15th, April 19th. So is there any date there that could be an issue for someone? Or
January 18th. Robin, I still want it, Cindy. I'm so sorry. I keep going back to October 12th. Robin, if I may, Chair, if I may, is that do the new members understand even what they're being asked?
Are you talking about the projects tour?
Correct.
No, I think it's been explained a little bit throughout the evening. I think Tina mentioned the project.
Tina did talk about it.
Yes.
But meaning that there might be another date in October that they might need to set aside?
Yes, that's true. It would be a special meeting. So we only need a 24-hour notice, basically. We obviously, as a committee, get a longer notice than that, but it would be considered a special meeting, and it would be something that maybe we'll know in July if we're going to do it. I'm kind of guessing. I don't know if it will happen. Maybe Tina has a better idea if anything like that might happen.
Well, I know that the board would love for something like that to happen. However, I think it all just depends on the guidance. Mm-hmm. I would say in October, we probably would be fine if the state is talking about, fully opening schools next school year, and there has been no conversation of anything different. So I would venture to say that any meeting we have beyond the start of a school year would probably be an in-person meeting. So I don't see us not having it, but we just haven't had the conversations with the board yet on it.
And just to add to, it's a joint meeting between the board and the oversight committee.
Correct.
It's not like the oversight committee, correct me if I'm wrong, has to have a quorum or anything of the sort at the tour, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. So, like for instance, I don't believe I made the last tour, but I do believe I made the year before, as an example of that tour. But let's see what happens. So, this is just a tentative schedule. I just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware of it, so that it could get published and what it looks like over the next year. Obviously, if there are members of the committee that cannot make it and we cannot obviously achieve a quorum, then we will have to make another arrangement. Hence the reason why the schedule is placed on this agenda for right now. So it's not like I need 100% commitment. I know things come up as we go forward, but as I said, if there are going to be some issues, can you please let Cindy know as we go forward, as we may need to revise one of the dates.
But Robin, like for example, I cannot commit to the July 13th date. I can't.
Okay.
So, okay.
So look, the meeting would still continue, obviously, as long as we're able to achieve a quorum, and that's really what it's.
Am I allowed to like do it via Zoom? I mean, I can do it via Zoom. I just can't be here.
Yeah, I think the
That's
July,
like what
I'm going to
ask is like, do we have to be here?
So I'm going to venture to say that the July meeting would most definitely be virtual.
Okay.
Because at this point, we probably don't even know what the board anticipates doing. Our board is meeting in person. But I also would say that in the future, I don't see why it would be a problem to have some participate virtually if needed. So I think, there may be some flexibility for the future, but I'm going to anticipate right now.
Would you ever do a combo of both, virtual and in person, or not?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think there is some flexibility for that in the future.
I see. Okay.
But I would venture to say for July, it probably would continue to be virtual. And then we'll have a better idea of where we are, well before the start of the school year. And we'll be able to tell people if that's going to continue, if we're going to continue hybrid, et cetera. And then Amy, just to kind of touch upon real quick, in terms of the October meeting, Cindy said, we have to give 24 hours notice, but obviously you guys would know well in advance of that. So as we have conversations with the board in developing what that date's going to be for October, you guys will be invited well in advance of whatever that October date is. So we're not going to call you 24 hours and say, can you show up? Right. And it's typically a bus that a school bus that we get, that we drive around to the different projects together in. And then we typically end with lunch at the end, but so if we can have that, we definitely will have that this year.
I was just going to say, you can't miss the district's tuna sandwich, I mean, it's an absolute must. I mean, you got to show.
I thought it was the cookies they came for.
Maybe for you. For me, it was the tuna sandwich.
Hey, I don't remember us going out to lunch last year or last time we did it.
You are so bad. You are so bad.
I think we decided against it, I guess. I don't remember.
I think our brand new members dropped off.
Yeah, I think the last time we did it we did not have a lunch.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right. So just that's the schedule. If there are any complications or any issues that do arise, please let Cindy know. But that's tentatively the schedule that we have going forward. If anything changes, obviously Cindy, what she does best, she will notify all of us and go from there. All right. I think with that being said, if there's nothing else, I would like to conclude the meeting tonight. If I may, I'd like to welcome all the new members to the meeting. Welcome. Appreciate having you on board. It's going to be a good year over the next year.
Amy has a question.
Oh, Amy has a question. Amy?
Thank you, Tina. I would like to know, Robin, how are we going to welcome our new members aboard? Because this is a weird way to get on board to a new team. So can I put that on possibly for a future agenda item, just to welcome our new members on board? I'd like to.
And how would you like to do that?
Well, you know what I'd like to do is I would very much like to know, like basically, like, how would you like us to know each other? Because all of us have gotten to know each other. So how would you like us to know you? I don't know how to do that. I mean, a resume sounds really stupid, but just how would you like us to welcome you is what I want to know. So that's my agenda item.
Are you thinking perhaps maybe some sort of like in-person type of onboarding? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't know. I just want everybody to feel like this is a team and we're doing this together. And like, if there's anything, I don't know. I know it really.
Didn't we have cake or something the one year? I'm just trying to think about it.
Yes.
We did, right?
Yes.
We had some cake or we did something.
Yes.
I don't quite remember.
yes, Robin, you're absolutely correct. It sounds really silly, but it was cool. And I just want to figure out a way to welcome people. That's it.
So I
It
think
would be
maybe
nice to meet in
next-
person, but I
Yeah.
don't know what the rules are around that.
So
Well,
I
me
think
too.
I mean, Amy, maybe my suggestion is maybe the next time we meet, we could have we could have some cake. We could kind of do what we did last time, and we could celebrate that way. But
But Robin, when's that going to be?
I can't tell you, right?
Right.
Unfortunately.
So
Oh.
is
John
there-
has a suggestion or a question.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, if there's a little latitude to maybe have the July meeting a little bit earlier in the day if folks are available. It might be nice. It wasn't a Prop A project, but we have a beautiful new Maverick Park at La Costa Canyon that makes for a great outdoor area where we can all spread out and perhaps have a bit of a social at that meeting.
But John, that means everybody's got to drive all the way up here. That's the bummer.
Well,
Robin,
sure.
Robin, can I suggest we close out the meeting and then we can discuss this?
Yes.
Sounds
I
great.
think, yeah. All right. So thanks, Amy. I hear what you're saying, and we'll take that into consideration. Let's close out the meeting tonight. Welcome to the new members. Appreciate you guys all being on board. Look forward to working with you. With that being said, I'd like to close the meeting.